Guard, post colors.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
These Special Forces soldiers, as you've just seen, volunteer to see if they can meet the standards to be the best of the best. Technology, tactics, rules of engagement has all changed over the years, but the Special Forces soldier is still the Special Forces soldier, and they have the Forces DNA. In 1952, the U.S. Army stood up 10th Special Forces Group, and in 1960, First Special Service Force was reconstituted for Special Forces. In 2006, Canada stood up Canadian Special Operations Regiment. They all have direct lineage to the service, to the First Special Service Force. And in the words of First Veteran Troy Mann, he said, "We are honored that you remember who we were, but never forget why we were fighting."
On the 5th of December 1944, after 5 operational deployments,
251 days of combat, more than 2,300 casualties, including 400 killed. Having never failed a mission, the force had lived up to its promise of becoming one of the Army's elite, a tough, secret, widely trained outfit that fought its way through some of the hottest spots in World War II. In the end, the FSSF demonstrated that no task was too great and no mission too daunting, as the force was made of courage and determination. The Canadian Special Operations Force Command and Canadian Special Operations Regiments are proud to perpetuate the Battle of Honor of the 1st Special Service Force, including Monte La Defensa, Monte La Remetania, Monte Camino, Monte Maggio, Anzio, Rome, the Advance on Tiber, and Southern France. With this honor comes great responsibility to live up to the deeds and legacy set by the forcemen. The motto of Caesar is Odemus, which translates to "let us dare." To this day, the bond that was built between the Canadian and the American forcemen is still baked into our DNA. Whichever theater of operation we go to, we rapidly build bond with our SF counterparts and work together extremely well towards a common purpose. The lineage and history of the SFFSF goes beyond the SF community and the generation. RSM Howell and I, a couple weeks ago, had the privilege of attending Forceman Jack's interment. In our discussion with his son, his grandson, his extended family, and family friends, it became rapidly clear that the FSSF still held a special place in their daily life. On behalf of Major General Bovine, my commander, Chief Warrant Officer Grant, my command chief, RSM, Chief Warrant Officer Howell, and myself, I'd like to thank the Special Forces Association, the Canadian Special Operations Regiment Association, and the 1st Special Service Force Association, as well as the family and friends of our SSSF veterans who endeavor to remember their glory and sacrifice. Thank you.
The history of the pioneering forcemen who convened here 8 decades ago. Today, I want to tell you what their courage and commitment created 80 years later. U.S. and Canadian Special Operations Forces carry forward the tradition. The insignia on our uniforms mirrors the iconic arrowhead of the 1st Special Stagger in the middle. And I'll just share that that's the most honored gift I ever received coming out of command, is the V-42. That and the iconic red of the Devil's Brigade. We have carried forward more than just the uniforms. From its inception as part of Operation Plow, the 1st Special Service Force was born to conduct dangerous missions against critical targets at overwhelming odds. Today is no different. The men and women of the U.S. Army Special Operations Command and the Canadian Special Operations Regiment volunteer, not only themselves, but their families and loved ones, for tough training, long deployments, unknown dangers, and unparalleled challenges. In this era of warfare, there is no safe haven. Our active forcemen before us, we trained in airborne operations, long-range infiltration, hand-to-hand combat, mountaineering, Arctic warfare, survival, and weapon systems. We are as comfortable at night as we are in the day. Our warriors are elite, the best. But what made the 1st Special Service Force so decisive in battle? What makes special operations different from our brothers and sisters in arms who are not soft? Similarly, our modern special operations operators must be expert problem solvers, capable of operating without guidance or support for months or even years in foreign and hostile lands. If they cannot meet the standard or match the legacy of the 1st Special Service Force, we send them back to their units. Those that remain are the greatest assets our nations have. Despite whole-of-government commitment to defeating democracy and threatening freedom, our adversaries fear us, as they should. We are the modern successors of the Devil's Brigade. We are in the dark places of the world. We free the oppressed. We sow chaos for our enemies, and we bring order and victory. To any adversary who would dare challenge us, the worst is yet to come. And the operators of Canadian and U.S. Special Operations Forces who put their lives on the line every day to secure our freedoms. Thank you.
Join me, please. Eternal God, Lord of time and eternity, Lord of the living and the dead, you've made yourself known to us not only through your wondrous works in this creation, but also by your mighty works through the history of nations, from their birth to the present. From our earliest beginnings, you've guided us through times of adversity and prosperity, through periods of war and peace. By your own hand and on our behalf, you have shown yourself strong to save us. Among all the nations of the earth, America and Canada are richly blessed in remarkable and in extraordinary ways. We turn to you today to remember with highest esteem and devoted respect the storied service and sacrifices of the gallant men of the 1st Special Service Force who served in Italy and France during World War II as members of a Special Operations Strike Force, the likes of which the world has yet to see again. Christened the Black Devils, the Devil's Brigade, by their enemies, these valiant Canadians and Americans fought side by side, many of them dying together before the enemy's guns, flesh against steel, intermingled between life and death, where uncommon valor was a common virtue. Whether living or dead at hostility's end, none of these men would ever be the same. Many of those who died, died all alone, and the living, though surviving, would be forever changed. All of them, every one, drank deeply from the cup of sacrifice, even to its most bitter dregs, for the sake of future generations whom they themselves would never know. And today, as if unchanged by 80 years, through the retelling of their brave achievements, they rise again to stand before us full of vibrant life. May time in its passage neither dim nor tarnish the glory of their deeds or the sting of their loss. O great Physician, bind up our two nations' yet wounded hearts as we remember them and honor their sacrifices. Enable us to embrace fully the legacy of valor, duty, and sacrifice of those quiet heroes who have caused our flags to fly high and with honor. Compel and empower us to take up the light of liberty for which they have given all, so that on our watch it may remain undimmed. This is our hope, and therefore it is for this I pray. Amen.